In this video, we have a demonstration of the Spring life cycle. So what I have here is kind of a hodgepodge of a number of different things, all mashed together, showing you all the capabilities, all the life cycle capabilities of how a bean is constructed. So just do a quick code review here. We are implementing the various Spring interfaces. So we have initializing bean, the disposable bean, bean name aware, bean factory aware, application context aware, and also bean post processor. So these are all things that we talked about in the previous lecture. I know it's a lot of material. I'm going to go through this somewhat quickly. Primary goal here is to give you a reference, so if you do need to tap into it, you do have a lecture and resources to go back through so you can see how this is implemented. So one of the first things we have here is we have the constructor of that bean. So if I did have something that I wanted to do dependency injection with, I could do so here. Here I have a very simple no-args constructor that takes that in, but I am going to output a message for this demonstration bean. I am prefixing everything with 2 hash tags so that we can see this in the console. So this is really just going to be a demonstration to the console. So the first thing that happens when Spring creates this component, of course, is going to call a constructor. So that is going to create the Java object. So now we're going to have an object that we can work with. Now, let me scroll up a little bit. We have a private property for Java version. Spring out of the box does have a number of properties set within its context. This here, we haven't covered this in the course yet. We will be getting into properties. That is a whole section-worthy topic. But here, I'm doing value, and I'm using what's called a Spring expression, or SPEL, Spring Expression Language. So $ bracket, and I'm giving it the property name of that property in the context. So I actually had to run the debugger, bring that up, look at the properties to see what was going on. I grabbed this one just to demonstrate this, because one of the first steps of initializing the beans is to go through and set the properties. So this is a property from the environment. We get the Java version, and you can see on line 27, I'm saying output property set and the Java version. So you should see your Java version there. And then the next step is we are calling the bean name aware interface. So we are going to get the bean name. So that'll output that value. And then we get the bean factory aware interface. And then I'm just doing a message here saying that we did get the bean factory output. The application context aware, that's going to come after the bean factory. And then we have the annotation for post construct. So this is going to be called after the processing has completed on this, but before this bean is given to any dependent properties. And this is kind of an odd spot for it in my mind, but you do have the after property set that comes in at number 6. The annotated method pre-destroy. So basically everything up to here is going to be an initialization. Going down, we will start getting into the destroy method. So we have destroy, disposable. So remember, the annotated method will come before that, and then the destroy method will come just before everything is terminated. Now, these two here are a little bit of out of sequence. These are methods that are going to get called because we implemented an interface. These are going to get called for every object in the context. So these two methods will be called before the destroy methods. So this is part of the startup. So Spring is going to go, one of the very last steps is going through and initializing it. And this here, if I wanted to, I'm providing these two methods here. I could see if this is an instance of lifecycle demo. Actually, I do that right now. So, if just make a little change here on the fly, instance of lifecycle demo bean, say lifecycle demo bean equals. So we're going to have to do a cast there, and I cringe every time I see a cast, but no way around it in this case. So you can see here we have the before init. So we want the before init like so. Oh, I don't need to do the print line while I'm already doing that. So sorry about that. This is a little bit on the fly here. And we can do the exact same thing. Like so. So now we're hooking into those two methods. So I did mention that in the review. I decided to change this on the fly so we can see an example of that. So now I'm just going to run the test, and let's take a look at the console output. Let me resize this. Again, we're still getting some complaining in the context. So here's our application startup. We can see here, putting out a lot of chatter here, so you can see I'm in the constructor, do the property set. You can see the bean name aware, so it is lifecycle demo bean, bean factory aware, application context aware, post construct, after property set. Now you can see here, remember the processors, these are going to go through for every bean that we have in the context. So there's a lot of Spring Framework beans that are getting created for us. You can see like a task executor, things like that. So there are things within Spring that you do get out of the box, especially with a Spring Boot environment. So you can see here. Then we get some chatter. These are from the controller test. And I didn't see the life cycles. Let me pause that. I'm going to pause this for 1 second. So I did a little bit of on fly there changing and took a quick look at it. What was happening was these two post process before initialization and after initialization. What happens is this bean does not get picked up by the processor, so it doesn't do itself. So I made a quick change. I added to the my controller bean the before init and after init. So the two same methods that we previously had there, I carried them to my controller. And then for the demo, rather than looking at the lifecycle demo bean, now I'm looking at my controller. Same logic. I could probably do the bean name as well. Either one will work. After initialization, just double checking that. So when I run this, you can see here we get through the different properties after property set. Now we get into the post process before and after initialization. These are the output from the controller. So that controller bean, we are calling methods on that controller bean. This gives us control to interact with other beans. And a lot of times this is exactly what you'll need to do. You'll either need to look at the type or a bean name and then apply some type of logic here. I'm just doing a system out. And then we can see that we continue processing the beans. And we get down here. And then we get into the destroy. Finally, 7 and 8, the pre-destroy method. And then the disposable bean is called. And then the process terminates. So very, very simple demo. A lot in here. I will be checking this into GitHub. And again, it's pretty rare that you need this much control, but it is there for those edge cases when you do need to use it.